Kristi Leigh TV here and have a very exciting guest. You probably will recognize him from the very popular TV series Hercules. And, I think that he's still playing his part as Hercules because he's doing all of the things, directing now, acting, has produced multiple wonderful films. And another one is coming out, another adaptation of Left Behind. And he's so short on time, I'm just going to bring him in right away. Kevin Sorbo, here he is, everybody. A casual Hercules today.
That's right. I'm always casual. I'm at home. So how you doing? It's good to be here. Thanks for having me on.
You bet. So really excited about your movie, but I think that the first question is like, there's been a lot of Left Behind movies. You had the one with Kirk Cameron, and then Nicolas Cage took a stab at it. What's going to make your Left Behind movie different?
Well, this is a sequel to the one Nicolas Cage was in. I mean, they wrote 8 books. So really, when Kirk Cameron did it, it was a whole sort of different thing. That was over 20 years ago, 23 years ago. So it's been a long time.
It makes me feel old. I'm like, man, I feel it's been 20 years.
I'll take your age in a heartbeat. Trust me. So it was. This was a sequel to it. When his movie came out back in 2014, I had a little movie come out called God's Not Dead at the same time, which was a massive hit. And they got inundated. When I say they, the people at Cloud 10. Cloud 10 is based in Toronto. They're the ones who own the book rights to do all the movies. And they've had the rights for like over 30 years. So they called me up because they said, we're getting so many emails from people saying, why is Nick Cage in the role of Rayford Steele? It should have been Kevin Sorbo. So they said, look, when we get settled in to do the next one, you're the guy. So 2 years ago, they called up and said, okay, our other projects are done. We're ready to do this one. We're going to do a rewrite, though, because of the craziness of the world. So about a year and a half ago, they really dove into, okay, what's going on in the world right now with all the anger and hate and divisiveness and violence and crazy television and movies pushing their agenda. So they said, we're going to bring it into modern day. And so I directed it just a little over probably about 14 months ago, and we wrapped just before 2022 happened. And here it is a year later. Now it's coming out. We got 1,500 screens. January 26th is the opening date. Go to leftbehindmovie.com, leftbehindmovie.com. And this is 6 months now after the rapture. So it's a sequel to one Nick Cage was in. And it deals with the chaotic world that we're living in right now. And we're joking now. It feels like the rapture's already happened when you look at what's going on in the world with government control and a one world government and one currency. Everything they talk about right now, these politicians that want to use fear to control your life, that's what we're doing right now in this movie. We show exactly what's going on in the world today.
It's a great time for it to be coming out. I think of like that phrase, such a time as this, because gosh, there are so many. I mean, right now, as we speak, the World Economic Forum is meeting globalist elites, and they're talking about all
those hypocrites flying in their private planes.
Right. I also, it looks like you have a great cast. You have how do you say his name? McDonough?
Neil McDonough.
McDonough?
Yep.
Okay. And I had seen an article recently about he having kind of a similar story as you, feeling like he was blacklisted from Hollywood. Is that kind of how that relationship started and why he's in this movie as well? Or can you tell me a little bit?
No, I've known Neil for a long, long time. He's an amazing actor. People recognize him right away. And I've always wanted to be in the movie with me. So when I called him up and said, Neil, I got a perfect role for you. Will you please check it out? He called back the same day after he read the script and said, I'm in, man. I'm in here. We got Corbin Burnson, who's incredible in this as well. We got Bailey Chase. We got Greg Perot, Sarah Fisher. My wife's in it. My son's in it. This is really a political action thriller. You don't have to be a reader of the Left Behind books or a believer to go to this movie. I mean, I think the message is certainly in there, but there's no like, you better believe in God or you're going to hell message in this. This is a movie that shows, look what's going on in the world right now, guys. This was predicted in the Bible, actually. So just look what's happening to our world, to government leaders wanting full control of your life, through all the anger and hatred and violence and wars and everything. So this is really something that anybody and everybody can go to. And I hope people bring a friend and go check out the movie.
I feel like people are really starving for this kind of content right now. I mean, anything faith-based and normal, because I mean, we've had a lot of movies come out that have really failed at the box office for really trying to interject indoctrination and bring in all these social, ideological issues. So how are you feeling about how successful this movie will be?
You know what? It's an independent movie, right? Independent movies do not have $100 million advertising budget like James Cameron does for Avatar, or they do have for these other $300 million Thor movies. We have to rely on word of mouth and get it out there. I get stopped all the time, and hotels, airport, whatever it may be, and people say, "Hey, we loved your movie, God's Not Dead, Soul Surfer, Let There Be Light. Please make more movies like that." Well, I'm making them. I'm putting movies out there that Hollywood used to put out there, where the good guy does win, where there is hope, where there's love, where there's laughter, where there's redemption. And I think more than anything right now, the world is missing hope. The biggest killer, I think, not only in America and the world, is apathy. People just giving up, and they let governments get bigger and bigger and bigger. And this government in our country right now in America was not the same government that our founding fathers envisioned. And in fact, the government now is worse than the monarchy was back 250 years ago when we started the Revolutionary War. So our government is just all about getting bigger and power and just controlling our lives. And I'm sick of it. I mean, you live in Texas, you see what's happening at your border right there. And we've got laws about that have been in the books forever. And, you know, they're told not to follow the rules anymore. Just let people in, no big deal. Of course, it's a big deal. What are we going to do with 5 million new people have come across the border in the last 2 years? So this movie really just sort of exposes the craziness. I mean, we show that, you know, that even 6 months after the rapture, people will still deny there's a God. They'll go, well, maybe it's aliens that took him or something like that. We got a reporter that's tired of the left-wing nut jobs in the news media and says, why are we not just saying the truth and saying 2 + 2 = 4? Why are we changing all this stuff? So there's a lot of great stories in there that all come together at the very end of the movie. So it's a wonderful script that these guys came up with. And we're already talking about the sequel to this one as well.
Oh, that's so exciting. I want to ask you about, obviously you have the books as your inspiration to draw from in writing the script, but you have touched upon what we are seeing actually happen.
Right.
So how much of a deep dive have you done into, someone commented about the cabal and Rothschilds and Rockefellers and Soros and how all of these things come together? How much have you done a deep dive into those things as maybe inspiration to weave into the movie, or no?
Well, you know, not really, because really the script was written by Paul Lalonde and Jessica Parker. They're the ones who are behind the script. They own all the rights to the books. They're based in Toronto, called Cloud 10. But the rewrite on it has been amazing. In fact, Jerry Jenkins, who was the co-author on with Tim LaHaye that wrote all the Left Behind books, we sent him a screener, and he came back just about 2 weeks ago and said, this is by far and away the best Left Behind movie ever made, and it's perfect for the times we're living in right now.
It is so perfect for the times we're living in. This is kind of off topic, but just wanted to get your reaction on,
Sure.
I feel like there was a bit of a revival when the Passion of the Christ movie came out. And I mean, it was soon after the whole country coming together after 9/11, and then this movie, and there's a bit of a revival with that. And I see that they've cleared the way to finally come out with a sequel to that, about basically what happens after Jesus descends into hell. Do you have any thoughts on that? I know that's kind of off topic, but just since we're talking about faith-based
Well,
movies.
I know Mel Gibson. I know they haven't started filming the movie at all yet. I still think it's still working on a script. I think the sequel to The Passion probably won't start filming for another year or so, maybe longer. But I'm hoping I can get a role in the movie. I want a part in it. Jim Caviezel will play Jesus. He and I were neighbors for a long time with the same manager for many years as well. So it's going to be interesting. I have a series we're trying to get off the ground right now called 3 Days in Hell. That's kind of a series documentary, and we're trying to raise money for that right now. And the guys behind that wrote the first 7 or 8 episodes already, and they're great. And we got to get this thing out there. Look, we're losing the cultural war. Hollywood runs it, as you know. Andrew Breitbart was a friend of our family's. He was first time I heard that phrase coined, that politics runs downstream from culture. And it certainly does. Who runs the culture? Hollywood does. Mainstream media does. Walt Disney said in the 1950s that movies and television will influence our youth. Well, hello, 60 plus years later, pretty much true what he said. And you see the violence and the anger that's out there, and you see the agenda that they're forcing down our throats. And that's why so many of their movies are failed, because the people are sick of the woke culture and the cancel culture and the insanity of the left. People are getting sick and finally starting to fight back. I think the right is just way too kind and way too patient. Enough already. I'm here to wake up the lions. The sheep are going to be the sheep. They're on their own as far as I'm concerned. We need to wake up the lions to be more aggressive and walk that road less traveled along with Jesus.
What are some things that we can do to more aggressively fight the culture war? Because it's like, I feel like we're succeeding when it comes to where we put our money, because clearly these agendas are not lucrative. They haven't been. They're losing money when they try and put out this woke content and push us against each other. So, what are some things like the everyday person can do to continue to fight back?
Well, number one, it's called We the People. And I think we've forgotten that. And it's the people we put in office. And I think it's the education system. And people just need to fight back and wake up and not sit back and do nothing. I think apathy is the biggest killer in the world right now. So I'm telling people right now, wake up and fight back. The left is so organized in their hate. They really are. They're just very well organized. And they raise a lot of money. You get all these billionaires, which is weird to me. But I think these billionaires like the power and control that they can have over people. It's really just wicked times right now for people that are in office. And we need to get back to honest voting. There's been voter fraud for decades. It's just gotten more blatant and obvious. And even there, they don't care. We need to get rid of mail-in voting. That's ridiculous to have mail-in voting. Of course, you can cheat with mail-in voting. You should. We need to make the voting day a holiday, and you vote on that day. You don't get vote weeks, months in advance. You get one vote. You show an ID. There's nothing racist about showing an ID. That is one of the most stupidest arguments I've ever heard in my life. You get one vote on the day we do it, and it's done. And I'll tell you right now, you'll have a big different result of the people that are sitting in Washington, D.C. right now.
How do you feel about the changes that are happening within the GOP? We just, we had a rift there with the Kevin McCarthy taking over the Speaker of the House position. And it does seem like he's having more of a backbone, I guess, put into the corner. I happen to be scheduled to interview Harmeet Dillon later today, who is trying to get that RNC chair. Any thoughts on if we're moving in the right direction?
I think we are. I mean, I think when we get past the voting issue, I think we are. I think McCarthy better show what he can do. I mean, we've given the House and Senate back many times to Republicans before, and they've done nothing with it. And here's the problem with politicians. They can promise everything they want to promise, and they're still not going to be able to follow through with it. They make false promises all the time. Every election cycle, every 2 years, what do they talk about? The economy, health, education. They talk about the same things over and over and over again. And our public education just gets worse and worse. We need to take education away from the government, because everything the government has their hands on, they destroy it. They absolutely destroy it. It's all about their control. You look at how much we dumb down our country and dumb down the kids going through school and the indoctrination they're going through. When I was from kindergarten through college, I never had teachers tell me how to vote. Never teachers tell me not to believe in God. Never had teachers bad-mouthing America. They taught history. Every country has good and bad history. Every country does. So to sit there and try to rewrite the history is just stupid to me, but they're doing a great job of doing it. I don't even think they don't teach civics in school anymore. God forbid that we actually find out that we're the ones who are supposed to have control of the country, not the people who put in office. They're supposed to be there to represent us, but we give them 40 years in these places. Get rid of them. They get term limits. 8 years and you're done. That's the max you get. Term limits. Why can't we have that? If we actually put in a ballot, I bet you it would pass overwhelmingly.
So you've been in this movie world, obviously, and doing a wonderful job. Have you ever considered getting more involved in politics?
I'm political enough. Facebook took me down for being truthful and honest because that wuss Zuckerberg and his minions and trolls don't like the truth. And I'll tell you something. Everything they said was conspiracy theory. Well, on Twitter, I posted, I need more conspiracy theories because all mine keep coming true. So I'm going to keep posting the stuff I do. They can follow me at KSorbs on Twitter. I post very funny, truthful, sarcastic 1 and 2 sentences. So people can check me out there. But I've been asked to run for office before. I have zero interest in running for that. I'll be political from this side of the fence. But I'm American through and through. I'm wearing my flag right now. So there you go. God bless the police. And I'm here to fight the good fight.
We're talking about the Left Behind movie coming out January 26th. I was like, it is January, right? January 26th. So you can actually buy group tickets, go with a whole group of people. I saw that. But as long as we're talking about movies, I have a movie pitch for you. How about a movie about a Midwest girl who works really hard to achieve her dream job, becomes the lead news anchor for her hometown, and she gets a New York agent, and she's well on her way to New York to having a network career. And then she finds out her whole career was built on a mountain of lies and breaks free. How about that for a news? I think
that's a good thing. But you know what? You escaped something. You don't have to live in New York.
No, I definitely don't want to.
You
Yeah,
know?
that was a Freudian slip, actually. My agent used to be out of New York, but obviously I don't have him anymore because I went independent. That was another funny thing we saw out of the
Yes,
World Economic Forum is there was an independent journalist who tried to interview Klaus Schwab on his way to
oh
another
my
thing, and
gosh.
he's like, "What? Where are you from?" And she says, "I'm an independent journalist," and he scoffs at her and goes away. So it's like they've made that
Yeah,
become dirty because oh what you're not bought and paid for by the corporate agenda. Oh, I can't talk to you
yeah.
in his accent.
Well, there's a real Nazi right there. I mean, Klaus, what a class act that guy is.
It's incredible that this has been he's been working on this like we talked and touched upon the organization that is needed to get out of this mess
Mhm.
and they've been working on this for decades and decades. They've been working on this agenda. We have the receipts and so we're behind. Talk about left behind. We're
Yeah.
behind. We need to catch up. Would you agree with that?
I do agree with that. Now that you brought up Left Behind again, don't be left behind by not seeing my movie Left Behind. Go check it out right now. So leftbehindmovie.com. I got to throw that back out there again. It shows you the trailer and it shows you what theaters near you. So I just want to make sure people tell everybody to support this movie because we need word of mouth to get these things to stay, make sure these things stay in theaters more than a week or two.
Absolutely. Well, I know that I'm definitely going to be seeing it. I know everybody on here is probably going to make sure they go see it, bring friends.
Mhm.
Like you said, you don't have those big Hollywood budgets behind this. So it really is going to take gathering groups together, take a church youth group. Left Behind comes on out on January 26th. And just you can go to the website to find out where
Yep.
it's showing near you, right?
Yep.
All
Good
right.
place to go.
Well, I know that you have to get right off to another interview, so I'm going to let you go now. But thank you so much for coming on with me, Kevin.
My pleasure. And we'll talk in the fall. I got two other movies coming out. One is another movie I directed called Miracle in East Texas, and the other one is the Reagan movie with Dennis Quaid as the president, and I play as pastor.
And if anybody wants to know how they can get involved, like audition or possibly get involved in any aspect of getting these faith films out, is there any way they can do that?
SorboStudios.com. Sorbo, my last name, Sorbo, studios.com. And just pop on. We have all kinds of information on there on how to get a hold of us and leave your information. We'll keep you up to date for future projects.
Awesome. I love it. All right, guys, everybody make sure that you get your tickets now. See Left Behind at the end of this month. January 26th is when it's coming out. Thank you so much, Kevin.
Awesome. Appreciate your time. Thank you, Kristi.